Moin moin. Today you will see how I turn my favorite activity into a nightmare. And then how I use AI trying to fix it. Enjoy. I love reading. And when it comes to language learning, reading is a very important part of this process. There are two types of reading. There is extensive reading and intensive reading. Extensive reading is something that we are doing all the time. When we focus more on meaning and the message that is hidden behind the words, so we don't care about words too much. When we are reading, for example, book in a foreign language, we can even skip some words and we don't really care about grammar. For us, the main goal to understand what we just read. And extensive reading is a very important part of language learning process. You need to do it every day, but there is just one problem in this approach. With extensive reading, the impact on your language learning process is quite small. Most of the time you use extensive reading to stay in touch with your target language and to have fun, to maintain your vocabulary, to maintain your language level, but you doesn't really learn that much from the extensive reading. With intensive reading, it's a little bit different. With intensive reading, your goal is to reach 100% comprehensibility, so you understand every word in a sentence, you understand the grammar behind it, you basically deconstruct the text that you are reading. And as much as I love extensive reading, I hate intensive reading. For me, this process is slow, it's boring, it's demotivating, it's frustrating. Every time I try to do intensive reading, I really drop it after 2 sentences. But intensive reading is still very important for language learning. It's a really good exercise. It really can boost your language learning process, and you need to have this exercise in your language learning toolbox. So I tried to find a way how I can eliminate or at least reduce these boring parts and start enjoying this process, or at least try to. So this is my full guide how to use intensive reading for language learning process, and I will show you how I use AI tools to make this process more smooth and easy. Let's go. First, we need to understand some key things about intensive reading. As I already said, our goal is to reach 100% comprehension. So we need to understand every word, every grammatical structure, every cultural reference, every idiom that we have in this text. And we don't care that much about the meaning. We more focused on form, on words, on grammar. And because this process can be really boring, time-consuming, and frustrating, we need to choose short but difficult text that introduce some new language features that we don't know yet. So how this process usually looks. You take a book. You open it and you find some paragraph of text. And you go with your pencil and just word by word in this text, and you translate every word. So you're using some vocabulary, or you're using Google Translator, for example, and you just translate every word. Then you check the sentence structure and you try to understand why, from grammatical perspective, this sentence looks like that, why words are in this order. If you don't really understand why it is like that, you go and Google it and you try to find this information. And this is actually the most time-consuming and frustrating part, because you need to constantly go to vocabulary, go to Google, check some grammar textbooks. And that's exactly why I usually drop this process after a couple sentences, because I'm too overwhelmed with amount of actions I need to do. So I decided to digitalize this process a little bit and also use AI to reduce these boring parts. And everything starts with finding proper text. There are 2 sources that work good for me. First one is Wikipedia. You can just open Wikipedia in your target language. So for example, I'm learning German and I open German Wikipedia, and even here already on the front page I can find some article about some person or I don't know, some event. So I can just open it. And the beauty of Wikipedia, it's written in a very neutral way. There is also a huge variety of articles, and you can even manipulate the complexity of text by choosing proper topics. So for example, if I will read article about, I don't know, quantum physics, probably it will be quite difficult text for me, but if I will choose article about some person like here, it will be more or less good. Another source is online media, online newspapers. You can open article for any topic you're interested in and read some news about it. The good thing about this online media, they usually written in a very natural language. They're using a lot of cultural references, a lot of idioms. They also try to make this text more entertaining, so sometimes it works a little bit better than just neutral Wikipedia articles. Depending on your interests, you can choose some specific online media. For example, if you are into gaming or into sport, you can have some like special website where they post news about this area. I live in Berlin, and I time to time read this Berliner Zeitung to check what's going on in the city. So I will just pick this article about some concert that happened recently. It doesn't matter what kind of source you will use. It's very important to take just some small piece of this text and use it for intensive reading. I use this online tool wordcounter.net to understand the amount of words in this text. And if you just start with intensive reading, I wouldn't recommend you to go beyond 200 words, or even maybe start with 100. In this case, you will have your sessions shorter, but still very helpful and efficient. As I already said, the most frustrating part is Googling every word and every sentence, and I want to use AI to do it for me. I created a prompt template that you can use for any kind of language you are learning. You will just need to replace a couple things here. I will not go through the whole prompt because we already discussed different kinds of prompts in previous videos. So I will just focus on some important parts for this particular prompt. Of course, this prompt template is available with link in the description. So if you want to use my method, you need to go through this prompt, read it carefully, and adjust things that you want to adjust. Especially here you can see this in square braces target language and explanation language, and you need to replace them with your languages. So target language is the language of the text. It's the language you are learning. So for example, in my case, it will be German. And explanation language is the language of model answer. So for example, if it will translate some words for you, you will receive these words in this explanation language. So I will use English. You can use also English or your native language. The reason why we need to explicitly say that it should use explanation language is that models sometimes get confused if you send a text in some target language. So for example, I send text in German and model starts suddenly answer me in German. So it provides me these grammatical explanations in German, which I cannot understand. So your first step, you just go and replace this target language and explanation language with languages you want to have there. Second important part here is this section how we will work together. I really want to do this exercise sentence by sentence, and I don't want model to send me all sentences with all information, because once I will start reading it, I will definitely drop it after a couple sentences. So I want process to be like that. It sends me one sentence and all related information. I read it, then I type something like next, and it sent me next sentence. So I have this kind of personalized tutor for intensive reading. And here in the prompt, I describe exactly this process. So I say, once I've sent you initial message, you send me back the first sentence, and then you wait. Then I respond with a command like next, continue, or something like that. And you send me next sentence. And also there are a couple additional limitations here. Of course, I also describe here general rules and required format for each sentence breakdown. So I describe what kind of information I want to have back. I want to have back the sentence itself. I want to have back vocabulary in form of table. I want to have some grammatical explanation and also some additional information, for example, some cultural reference or idioms or metaphors. And in the end, we have this section where you can paste your text. So let's see how it really works. I have this small chunk of text, 169 words, from this article about concert, and I already updated my prompt with languages. So as I said, I will use German as target language and English as explanation language. So now I have this prompt and I can just copy and paste it to ChatGPT. Here we go, and we start our exercise or our intensive reading session. So I received the first sentence. I can read this sentence now. Then I see vocabulary here. So whenever I meet some word that I don't know, I can go here and find this word. So for example, I don't know word einmaliges, and I find it in my vocabulary. Also here, grammar explained. So I see clause type, and I see like structure of it. It explains me a little bit why it is structured this way. And then I have this additional information. For example, the phrase godmother of punk is an English title used in German sentence without translation, and it explains me why it uses this phrase here. So sometimes it's a little bit silly and unnecessary, but it's better to have more information than less. In general, it's very helpful. So I've read this whole information, and if everything is fine, I can just proceed. I type next here, and it sent me back next sentence. And we just repeat this process again and again until we reach the end of the text. Here I'm using GPT 4.0. It's the basic model from ChatGPT, and it's not very powerful. It doesn't have this reasoning functionality, so sometimes it makes mistakes. Here, for example, we have word bleibt, but we don't have it in this list, so it could happen. You can try different models from different providers and see the one that works better with your language. But even like that, it speeds up the process like 10 times. This approach really changed intensive reading for me because this is such a powerful exercise, and now I finally can go through like 5-10 sentences without being fully frustrated. So try it yourself, see if it works for you. The only thing I can recommend here is to start small. So start with, I don't know, 3 sentences or 5 sentences and see how it goes. If you feel that you are comfortable and you are going with a good pace, and this session of 3-5 sentences take like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can increase the amount of sentences, but don't take big chunk of text for the first exercise. So all additional information, including link to this prompt template, in the description. I hope this video was helpful. Please write in the comments if you want to see some other exercises enhanced with AI. I will try to come up with some solution. Don't forget to push like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends. Thank you very much, and see you later.